Hi, everyone, and welcome to an episode of Trident Talks. I'm Josh, one of the co-founders of Trident, and we are creating a new series which we are calling the CEO in Cyber series. And our first guest, very pleased to say, is Jason at SixMap. Jason, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be your first guest.
Jason, so for those that don't know, just want to kind of give a bit of an intro to what you're currently doing now, your background, and maybe a little bit about SixMap as well.
Sure, I could try to be succinct. So I'm Jason Kaplan. I am indeed the CEO of SixMap. I've been the CEO for about 14 months now. I'll start from my background. I was originally in finance. I got into tech a long time ago, and I was really early on the internet train. So I was involved in web hosting before many Fortune 500 companies had websites. I was the first sales leader at Akamai, so the first 10 sales folks worked for me. Spent about a decade working for other internet infrastructure as a service companies, but then I followed a passion and I worked for a VR goggle company for a few years before my first time as a founder CEO, where some friends and I started a company in the fitness space. We built a wearable device, we built mobile apps. We ran that for about 5 years before we sold that, and that was, again, first time as a CEO founder. Got into cyber about 5 years ago when a friend of mine from Israel called me and said, "Hey, we've got this amazing technology. We'd love to bring it to the US." And I said, "I'll do some consulting first." And after 60 or 90 days, they asked me to be CEO. So I was CEO of an Israeli cybersecurity company from America. After I left there, I got to know a lot of people in cyber, and my friends at Data Tribe called me and said, "We think we have a great opportunity as CEO of SixMap." And so I took that position about a year, a little over a year ago. So the first one I would say is really the most important one, which is just the power of what we had. When I joined the company, before I joined the company, I'd asked around and I had a pretty good feeling that current tools really weren't doing the job. And then when I got to SixMap and I really understood what computational mapping was, and I understood the full approach that we had of entity protection, I was really surprised at how big this opportunity is going to be. And so, especially in a space where there had been tools for a while. So it just got me really excited and really motivated, and that surprise hasn't changed. So I think a challenge, when a board brings in a new CEO, it might be because the first CEO was fantastic and just sort of maxed out, and it might be because things weren't going quite the way they had hoped. And in this case, it was the second, and I'm being very transparent. We had built, as I said, this amazing capability, but not getting all the traction that we wanted. And so the first challenge was the team, which is great, was just feeling the weight of, are we going to see success? And this is, whether you're a founder CEO or a replacement CEO, generally speaking, the curve is not straight up. Every company has challenges. Every company has things that are unexpected. You get punched in the gut when you don't expect it. And the question is always, how do you react? And so the first big challenge was to, take a team that was wanted to be so excited, but, hadn't quite seen the fruits of all of their labor, and get them excited again and motivated and get, sort of make a culture change. And that doesn't happen overnight. That was the first big challenge that I think we had to face, was really around culture. The second thing is, again, the founder is a brilliant guy, developed an amazing capability. And I don't think we talked to the market enough to understand what people really wanted and what needed to be sort of around the product to make it enterprise ready. And I would say that's another challenge that often, especially technical founders, have, is, we build a great capability, even if it's a full product, but enterprises require a lot, whether it's simple things like APIs, or obviously there's basic security features that have to be in there. So the second thing is just making it enterprise ready. So I would say the two big challenges that, when I came in, that I knew was, I got super excited about the tech capability, as I said in your first question, and I knew that we needed to kind of get the team reinvigorated, and then we needed to wrap this amazing capability in with whatever features needed to be in it so that it was truly enterprise ready and could be sold repeatably. it's not the kind of thing where you just come in and say it. It has to, you have to be transparent. You have to be open about what the company can do. You have to acknowledge the challenges. And then you have to, every single day, you have to practice what you preach and just do it consistently. So first, I think you gotta model behavior. It was about being transparent. It was about sharing information. It was about, talking about the good and the bad. It was about encouraging people to participate and voice their opinions and sort of flex all of the skills and muscles and brain power they had, giving people opportunity. There's a lot of elements to it, but, and I guess there's lots of different kinds of cultures. For me, I think I know what I can bring to the table and I know what I can't, and encouraging people to help me fill those holes so that, the team can achieve its goals. And it's definitely something we continue to talk about. I get feedback from our team that they feel it. So I think we've gone there. And by the way, culture, there's sort of in startups, I think you go through chapters. And so, chapter one of my joining SixMap had to be kind of get the company back in a position to really go, to take off. And I feel like it happens right around that year mark, like that chapter is closed. Now, chapter two is like, we have to change the culture again, from, okay, people believe, to like, now we got to step on the gas,
execute.
Execute. So I've kind of made a little pivot in the culture recently where it's now like, I'm not always Mr. Nice Guy anymore. Now it's like, come on, man, we got to go.
Let's go. Yeah.
And so cultures, even within companies, I think have to evolve sometimes. AI is just more and more increasingly real. And so, maybe a little back before 14 months, it was sort of like everybody talking about it. But for sure, if you're not leading with that, if you're not, looking through that AI lens for everything you're doing, whether it's people you're hiring, your internal processes, what you're building and exposing to customers, that for sure is, sort of the obvious change that's out there. One thing that has led to is, for SixMap and companies like ours, often people say like, hey, don't show me more problems because I have a hard enough time remediating the ones that I know. I've got a whole theory that I think that's really about quality of data and noise, and just it's really inefficient to find those things that you have to remediate. So we help our customers do that and make it much, much more efficient. But the next step in understanding a vulnerability is remediating. And when I first came in 14 months ago, we had done some initial development of auto remediation capabilities, and the feedback we got from the market is we're not ready. And I think even in 14 months, you see a lot more autonomous SOC, you see a lot more kind of openness to the possibility of automated remediation. So first I'd say AI, which leads to the automated remediation. The last thing is maybe a little bit more on just the go-to-market. I just think it's increasingly challenging to get decision makers to listen. And I don't blame them for that. It's because, we on the vendor side, sometimes we say we're going to do things and we don't do them. Sometimes we use techniques that are a little abusive or annoying. And so I completely understand it. And so I think it's just increasingly hard to find opportunities to, meet security leaders where they are, so you can have an open conversation and say, like, are we doing something interesting or not? And if not, okay. But if so, like, let's talk, and you should know. I think it's really taking the temperature of the people on your team. Because there's a saying, whatever, happy wife, happy life. But the opposite, but in a business, it's like happy people, happy life. If the team is, and I don't mean like running around happy because they have a new pool table in the office, but it goes back to what I said in the beginning. Like, if your team feels like their work is paying off, if they feel motivated to be there, if they stay late, if they bring you ideas, if they're referring friends to come work at the company, like if they're doing things like that, you must be on a path to success. Because and look, at the end of the day, we're here to make money, and we're here to achieve a mission of helping secure our customers. And the way to see if we're doing that or not is if our team's happy. Because if we're not securing if our product isn't doing what we say, if we're not selling, if we're not growing the business, people aren't going to be happy and they're going to leave. So I guess again, I'm not succinct. I guess the bellwether for me is kind of what's the mood and the temperature of the team. If it's good, then things are probably happening in a really good way at the company. I started off when we talked about the company by saying, we had some work to do when I got here to put ourselves in a position to really accelerate growth. And what's exciting to me is that we have. And so we have the right to win now. We've got some great customers. We're hoping to sign a massive company before the end of the week. We've got one last item on our MSA to deal with, and it's going to be a fantastic name. And so what I'm looking for in the next 12 months is, sort of seeing the payoff. We've done the hard work, not that it's over. We're going to continue to work hard, but we've put ourselves, we're like the rubber band has been pulled back and now it's like, boom, let's go. And so I'm just super excited to see the results of the hard work and to watch the team, include getting more and more excited about what we're doing and start seeing deals get done faster and faster. And so it's just, and the journey never ends, right? Because I said there's chapters. So, okay, if the next chapter is making that happen, then we're going to have another chapter where we raise more money and we got to grow faster. And, but yeah, the next 12 months for us is all about, executing on the delivery of our product, of go to market, and really seeing the hard work pay off.